A 22-year-old photojournalist was gang-raped in the heart of South Mumbai's corporate hub.
A toddler is battling for her life after she was brutally raped in the capital. The 5-year-old girl has been admitted to the ICU and is believed to be
From Guwahati in Assam, where a teenager was molested at the hands of a mob outside a bar, to Baghpat in UP, where a Khap Panchayat has banned women carrying cell phones.
There is public outrage over the gang rape of a young woman inside a bus. Crimes against women are on the rise in India, and anger is growing at what appears to be the government's inability to protect them.
The aftermath of the Delhi rape case resulted in a public outcry. Thousands gathered to protest against the government. Men stood shoulder to shoulder with women fighting for a safer India. I started to wonder why some men stood idly by and shouted nothing when they were face to face with rapes and sexual abuse. Why were we men so brave against the government, but so afraid of a few petty criminals?
I assure you that we will make all possible efforts to ensure security and safety of women in this country.
India. I was born here and was raised to believe it is a safe place for women. In 2012, there were 23,923 rapes recorded. That's almost 66 rapes reported every day. But off the records, it's thrice that count. Do men have no control over the sexual urges, or is it a more complicated problem than that? This is my sister. She is more like my godmother and my first best friend. She fought for me when I was bullied and stood on my side always. It is only natural for me to do the same. When I was 15, I was fortunate to prevent her stalker from assaulting her in our own home. This is me now. I moved to the US for my education, leaving India and all its turmoil behind me.
Then Sam, take one. Soft sticks.
But was leaving the right answer? The survivors of these rape crimes could have been anyone, even my sister. But even the men are being murdered trying to protect women from the so-called Romeos of the street. So, is there a fear among men in the society from helping out someone in distress? What would the men in my family do? What would I do? I wanted to find out for myself. So, during a family reunion at my sister's place, I take the opportunity to understand the perspective from the men and the women in my family about the unethical behaviors being witnessed in India today.
And puff, and I was walking away and Papa was like, what, I just met your friend? And I said, bah, that's not my friend, that's the guy who's stalking me.
Next Sunday we went to the temple and he was so bold enough, he didn't expect Vivek at home. You know, and she opened the door again.
No, Vivi opened the door. I was in the...
No, you
I
opened
was
the door and you started screaming.
Did you open the door? Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
I opened the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when we freaked out. She could have done...
He started screaming, Vivi, oh my God. And then Vivek ran. The minute he saw him, he knew. So he took the stairs and started running down.
Then afterwards, what happened? Then afterwards, it was standing instructions in the house. Samantha should be dropped. I have to wait till the bus comes.
After that, for nearly a year, she never went out alone anywhere.
Even if I went out to meet with friends, I always had 3, 4 and guys in company for sure. If going to movie theater, I'm like, entering the hall, I'd be like, you know, just in case I spot him or whatever. So, those 2 years was like pathetic.
Basically, why Indians? I mean, like, rapes go all over the world. But there's nothing called violence against them. They don't beat them up. The act is finished. They're out. That guy, by birth, he feels that a woman is nothing but a trash and should be used and thrown, discarded. He sees his mother getting used and thrown, getting beaten up in front of him. He gets the feeling. He sees his sister getting dragged and thrown around. He goes one step ahead. When he goes outside in the world and sees everything, he thinks these women also should be treated like that. So this is what happens.
If a man who has the guts to walk up to your woman in your presence and do what he has to do, how does that person react to it with the fear? Why does that fear always last with a man?
It is very common where there's going to be fear. Like, what is this guy going to do to not just to him but to the family? Sometimes it is for a man, he has to make a decision. Do I walk away with my family, or do I take a chance of being murdered in this situation?
Right.
Being this.
And this happened. This did happen to two boys who were
you
killed.
really have to sit there at a point and really think about it. And there's a close story, and I don't know if my family knows about it. This happened to her brother. An incident happened with one guy. It turned out to be a bigger incident, and he ended up getting beat up. Which that could have been myself or her.
Mm-hmm.
In the same situation, because you don't know how many people that guy knows in that train or in anywhere. And at the end, if Papa wouldn't have pulled him away from it, he probably would have been dead.
From the conversations of my family, I learned that men fear not for themselves but for the family's safety. Would I put my life in jeopardy if I didn't know the person being assaulted? I managed to get in touch with a psychologist who spent an entire career studying men's behaviorism psychology. Maybe he might have different answers.
In almost all societies, there's a revolution against shoulds. And if the should is men should be strong, they should be tough, they should, all these lists of shoulds. And you can say that about a lot of other shoulds. But for masculinity, there's always a revolution against that, because in most societies that have some very rigid rules for either women or men, that there has to be a type of revolution that says, no, we don't want that. We don't think that this is healthy. And so if you look around in a variety of different cultures, you will see that type of revolution. Now, how that revolution actually starts to take effect is a very, very slow process. But over time, and particularly over generations, we do see men evolving to having a greater, what I would call, gender flexibility, to be able to express their gender in more flexible ways without having to fear the repercussion. The Indian culture, that there's a peacefulness, and there's a peacefulness to your religion, and you think about the sacredness of the cow, and so there's ways that I know that the Indian culture is very empathic. There's ways that when you look at some of your forefathers, Gandhi and many others who have looked at nonviolence as a way to keep peace, that it surprises me that those values have not come down into your society in a way that says, this is not who we are. But what it takes is like what you're doing now, is men like you speaking up, saying, this is not who we are, this does not represent our culture. And I think it's that kind of bystander courage, or that critical mass of folks that say, we will not tolerate this. Yes.
Dr. Stevens' words continues to resonate in my mind. If a bystander's courage is what is required to keep our streets safe, Keenan Santos and Ruben Fernandez did just that. They were stabbed to death by a mob for trying to protect the woman they were with from being harassed and assaulted. Even when the girls called out for help, no one came to their rescue.
It is not only the murder of Keenan and Ruben, it is the murder of every one of us actually, if you go to see. It is a murder of Keenan's grandmother, it is a murder of Keenan's mother, it is a murder of Keenan's father, it is a murder of Keenan's brother, it is a murder of Priyanka, and it is a murder of all the friends of Keenan's. Very sad. Such people should not be allowed to be around in society. I am proud of Keenan. I think I am fortunate enough, I would say the other way around, I am fortunate enough that I had a son like Keenan who did what I wanted him to do. Today, if Keenan would have just ran from there, many people tell me, "Kyun udhar khada riya? Why did he stand?" Even the first reaction of the police was when I met them in the police station. The head of the police told me, "Jane ka tha wahan se. Why did he stand?" I told him, "If you don't have the guts, as being a policeman, if you are talking like that, then I think you should remove your uniform and sit at home." This is what I told the head of the police station at that time. Because I said, you cannot expect, Keenan would have ran, Ruben would have ran, Avinash Bali would have ran, Benjamin would have ran. Would the girls be able to run that fast? What would have happened to the girls? And if, I'm saying it, and I've said it before, I'm saying it again, if Keenan would have come home and something would have gone wrong, not only to Priyanka or any of the women who are there, I think today, what I respect my son for, it would have been the opposite. All my life, I would have not liked him. The main person who is behind all this. And it's sad but true. These people should not be left. They should face, and I will fight for that. I will not, and I'm not fighting. I want to make it more clear that I'm not fighting a battle for Keenan and Ruben only. I'm fighting a battle for all the fathers, for all the mothers, for all the brothers, friends, sisters who are going through all this. Laws have to be changed. They have to be made stringent, and we'll stick by that. No matter what, we will keep our fight. And if I see anybody on the road doing anything to any woman, I will not leave. Whether I am alone or I am with somebody or anybody is there with me, I will see that I interfere. Even if I have to meet the same fate as Keenan. If my son could go in 24 years old age, I have crossed that. I have 54. I don't mind losing my life, but I will fight for the right. Will stand by it.
Keenan Santos lost his life just because he stood up for a woman's dignity, and so have many other men while protesting against sexual abuse and harassment. Will bystanders continue watching while good men go down fighting? If so, more and more families will have to mourn the deaths of their sons and daughters who try to make a change. Or will we stand up and inspire hope? Who will you be? What would you do? Because that could have been